Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. We are about to change some lives today. It is time for us to get started with our Inspiration and Impact, where we will be telling stories that will change your life. I want you to listen to those testimonies, listen to those stories, so that you can allow them to get into your life and impact everything that you're going through and change whatever it is that you need to come out of. Okay, and then we're going to have our Speak Into Your Life segment and then our community resources. This is the end of a new year and the beginning of another year. There are some things that I want to work with you on, okay? And I want you to know, as we prepare you for this new life, you don't have to exercise, like I said before. You don't have to spend any money. You don't even have to change your eating habits. But there is one thing that you have to change. Ladies?
Change your mindset, change your life.
Very good. We'll be discussing the topic of breaking through mental bondage, what it feels like today. Share testimonies and life stories, talk about pain, and talk about passion. We're going to be talking about the causes of bondage as well as examples of breakthroughs on It's Life Changing Today. Welcome to the show. My special guest for this upfront and personal invitation, Reverend Sylvia Copeland Murphy, Shannon, Brittany, Brianna, Laverne, Kim, and Darnetta. Today's first testimony is going to come from Brianna. Welcome to the show, Miss Brianna.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, first off, I'm a military brat. My mother and I have been blessed throughout the years. And whenever she would go out to sea, I would stay with my grandparents. And they'll be with us back and forth. And I lived in Bahrain for about, I want to say, 3 years. And then I came back to Virginia. And I started attending middle school. And I still thought, like, boys had the cooties, same as with Brittany and Shannon. I thought boys had the cooties still. Until I got into high school. And my mother, she started having duty. So she would never come home that night. So at the time, he was my boyfriend.
Okay.
So I invited him over to the house. And we were just what we call chilling. We were just chilling. And basically, sex got brought up. I was 14 at the time. Wow. And he was 17 going on 18.
Okay.
So he came over. He came over. And basically, he was like, do you want to do it? I was like, no. And as I was walking up the steps, he was pulling my arm. I was peer pressured. I kept telling him, no, I don't want to do it, no. So then I finally gave in to that peer pressure, and I walked upstairs, and we did it. And the next day, he tried to break up with me. And he told me that he had a daughter, and he had his baby mama was in Ohio, and he was moving back to Ohio.
So now he has a whole life now.
Yes.
He didn't have a life last night.
Exactly.
Today he got a life. Got a kid, got a woman.
Where did all these people come from?
Exactly. So then, I had a guy that actually liked me. So, I didn't really think about, like cutting him off, and I was just being me. So,
being a teenager.
Yeah, being a teenager. And my father wasn't in my life, so I really didn't know the difference between a good man versus a bad man. So we went to school, and he tried to break up with me. And so I started inviting him over more when my mother wasn't, again, home because she had duty every other week. And
your mom does know about this, right?
We did. Yes, she did only because the alcohol was gone. That's why.
Okay. I didn't want this to be the first time.
That's because the alcohol was gone. But ever since, and I didn't even know. Like, we was watching TV, and he ordered some pornography on the TV, so it came up on her bill. So I didn't know anything about it. So she asked me about it. I said, I don't know where that came from. Like, it wasn't me. So she was like, okay, so who is it? So as soon as her friend came over and they was drinking the Hennessy, they was like, this don't taste right. It tastes like water. Because I had filled the Hennessy bottle with water. And I was like, dang, okay, I'm caught. I don't know how to lie. So I was just done. So then my mom, we had moved away from Virginia Beach, and we moved to Suffolk. And I went into high school, and I don't like living in Suffolk. It was boring to me. So, I mean,
It's different.
yeah, it was very
It's
different than the city life. And I started to, then I got accepted into college and just started partying. And I feel like I changed today now because I have grown as a person. I don't really look back at what happened to me. So, I mean, now I feel like I'm good.
Okay. And what I hear, the stories that you guys continue to tell are stories that, so many young people go through, from the peer pressure, from the attitude to, because we all think we're right, and you always feel like your parents are taking away your freedom by keeping you in the house. One thing you want to do is not to do the thing they want you to do, and I talk to so many people, not even just in teens, but they so don't appreciate their parents. And what they're trying to tell them, because it's like, you don't know anything, you old, but later on we realize that they're trying to actually keep you from getting hurt and those type of things. So, it's a beautiful story, and where you are today, the beautiful professional woman that you are, there's still a little bit of party in you, but, party the right way, party the right way now, and that's so different, right, than the way we used to do things. And so, thank you so much for sharing your story, too. We're going to hear from one more person also, Miss Laverne. Welcome, Miss Laverne, to the show. And she's also going to tell her story.
Thank you for having me, and I'd love to tell my story. I'm the youngest of 7. My mom and dad, they married 67 years ago, and they still are married and
That's
still
beautiful.
Here with me today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We just celebrated their 67th wedding anniversary in April.
That's
So
wonderful.
they're still here with me. And as I said, I'm the youngest of 7. I'm the baby. They still call me the baby, regardless. They still call me the baby at 55.
You like having that title. You like being a baby.
No, I don't think so. I like being the youngest, but being called the baby, no. But anyway,
You like the perks of being the baby.
I have no
You don't
perks.
have no perks?
No, because there's 6 girls and one boy, so that's where the perks went.
One boy, he overrode you.
He overrode
took
me.
the perks.
He took all the perks away. Exactly. But being blessed as being the youngest child, I was the most outspoken child, and
No, you?
still is.
Yes.
And still is. But I was born and raised. My parents and my entire family are from Georgia.
Okay.
But my brother and myself, the last 2, we are from New Jersey. We were born and raised in New Jersey. We were born in the port. If anyone know what the port is, in Elizabeth, and the city port, and in the projects. And we grew up there until I was in 6th grade, and then we moved into the suburbs of a smaller town called Union. And from there, we grew up from there. We went to Union. I went to Union High School. But there was something in me that my parents and my sister always said that, you're special. And they always said I was special not because it was a God-given gift to me that they didn't even know at the time, but they just thought that I was always special because I was always out to do better. And as I was coming up, I was into gymnastics, which was a God-given hidden talent that I never went to school for, never trained. And it was just given to me by the grace of God. And I used to go outside and just do flips and on the cement and everything. And I said, Daddy, look what I can do. He go, don't do that. I don't want to see. I don't see you bust your head. So I would flip and everything. And so from there, I started entering pageants. So I am formerly Miss Talented Teen New Jersey. I don't know if you remember Hal Jackson. I'm Miss Talented Teen New Jersey 1976. And I'm also Miss Fantasia 1975, a charm and talent pageant. Thank you. So from there, I used gymnastics as my talent because that is what I did. So when I was 14, I started teaching gymnastics in the community. I started giving back to the children and volunteering at age 14. So I've been in the workforce since I was 14. So that's why I did get out when I did.
Yeah.
So as I was growing up, I was teaching the children gymnastics and cheerleading and everything. I've been a cheerleader all my life. I cheerleaded junior high. I cheerleaded in high. I cheerleaded in college. And so coming up in those ranks of doing everything, and as my sister say, because you special, but that was just a part of me that I didn't know I had, and it was just a God-given gift.
Yeah.
And me doing gymnastics and cheerleading. And then from there, I started going back to school after I left college in Monmouth College and Seton Hall University. And I went into the workforce, and I stayed in there for 44 years in the workforce. But in between that, I started, again, as my sister said, because you're special. I went back to school, and I got my license to be a manicurist, a nail technician. So I'm licensed in 2 states, in the state of New Jersey and also the state of Virginia.
Awesome. Awesome.
And from there, I went on to entrepreneurship, and I got into travel business and real estate investment. So I do entrepreneurship also in travel and real estate. And from there, and being in the workforce, I said, it's something else that I need to do. But from there, I started to notice that my adrenaline from cheerleading and gymnastics and everything started to fall a little low, and I was going to the gym every day. So I realized that I started to not feel well as I did on a daily basis. So from that point, I went to the doctor, and this is back in 1995, and the doctor says, you have asthma. And it didn't faze me because everybody in my family has asthma. So he put me on all kind of inhalers and everything, and as I was doing the inhalers and I was going to the gym, and I used to work out every day, 2-3 hours a day, and I started going to work out maybe once a week for an hour, and I couldn't walk around the track. And I would come home and I would sit at my mom's kitchen table before I got home. I would stop at her house and I'd sit there and she'd talking to me and I just drift off to sleep. So she said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I don't know, I'm tired." But then come to notice that I was tired more often than I should have been. So I called another doctor and he said, "Sure, come on in, let me check you out." So I went in and he checked me out and everything, and he said, "I'll call you with the results and then you can, come in." So I said, okay. So I'm at work one day, and he calls me, and he says, "I need to see you." And I said, "You need to see me?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I want you to make an appointment and come on in, and so we can sit down and talk." And I said, "I'm coming now." So I had
Sit
to
down
tell,
and talk,
right,
okay.
you call me, of course, on my cell phone, but, I'm at the office. I'm like, I need to know now. So I told my boss I had to leave at that time, and I went on to the doctor, and I sat down, and he says, "You know those inhalers that you're taking and all that asthma stuff?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Throw that stuff away. I don't want you doing that anymore. No more inhalers. Throw that stuff away." I said, "Okay." I said, then why am I having this shortness of breath? Why can't I breathe sometimes? And he said, "What you have is called sarcoidosis." And I said, "Sarcoidosis? What is that?" And he said, "Well, we're going to take care of it. I mean, I think we found it at a good time." And he said, "So we're just going to put you on a little medicine." And so I looked at him. I said, "Am I going to die?" He said, "Of course you're going to die. Everybody's going to die." I mean, what you want me to tell you? Everybody's going to die. I said, "But doctor, am I going to die, whatever this stuff is?" And he says, "No, you're going to be fine. We're going to put you on some medication, and and life's going to get better for you. You're going to be able to breathe again and start working out more like you used to."
Good.
So I said, okay. So that was in 1995. And so I moved from New Jersey to Virginia for my job transferred me. And as, life was going on, I was like, okay, I'm taking this medication, and this doctor said I had this sarcoidosis or whatever you want to call it, so who knows about this here in this state? And nobody did. So I used to fly back home for the first 6 months that I was here in Virginia. I've been here now 20 years.
Yeah.
But I used to fly back home so that he could continue my care. So he said, "Well, I have to, look out there and find you
I
someone."
was gonna say,
So he
find
did.
someone
Yeah,
closer.
he found me someone here in Hampton.
Good.
And so I'm still with her for 20 years now.
Awesome.
But, he sent me to her, and she said, "Okay, we're going to take care of you." And, from there, I went to 9 different specialists.
Wow.
And for those of you who don't know what sarcoidosis is, it's primarily a lung disease, but it's multisystemic, and it can affect any part of your body. Any.
Is that still something you have to struggle with, or?
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
So it's something that I do struggle with from day to day, but
But it has not slowed you down.
it has not slowed me down.
At
That's because
all.
I know someone bigger than that disease.
That's right.
Amen.
That's
Amen
right.
for that.
And so, I got married and everything, and I just went to running. I went to D.C., I went to Seattle, I went to Johns Hopkins. I went everywhere trying to figure out what is this disease and why is it attacking me. And from that point, doctors have put me in different support groups and, with people along with me that had the same disease, and we shared all our information. And I've seen, members come and I've seen members go. I've buried people. I cite poetry, but I don't write it. I write it for my own personal reasons.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, this is not the end of me. There's something bigger than this.
Always.
So I started pulling out my Bible, and forgive me for getting emotional,
It's okay.
but I went to God. And I said, God, this is between me and you now.
Amen.
Where do I go from here? So as God spoke to me, and he said, I got your battle, and I got your back. Leave it up to me. And so now for 20 years, I have left it up to him. I have been on all types of medications. But God has brought me through. I'm stronger today. You might see a little tear in my eye, and it's because I'm telling my story. But this is where I am with my story. At the age of 35, I didn't think I'd ever see life again. As I go to other doctors, they would tell me, you need to get on an oxygen tank. Your breathing levels are very low, but you need to be on oxygen. And I refused. I refused because that's not God's plan. That was man's plan. And I said, as long as I can breathe, I'm going to breathe on my own. And I've had, like I said, I've buried friends from support groups, and they've been on those oxygen tanks, and I know what it's like.
Yeah. It's not easy.
It's not easy. But when you have something else that's helping you breathe, you lose more of your own inspiration to do so.
Yeah. But we know that you are still inspired.
And that is why I did not go on that oxygen tank.
And you also have a poem for us that you want to share.
Yes, I do. And I wrote this poem, really I wrote it for a very good friend of mine that passed away out of our support group. But since then I have revised it for the entire community of sarcoidosis. And I titled it Ill, But Still. Sarcoid, for short, some say. What is it anyway? 135 years of research and history. Yet and still, it remains a medical mystery. Early to bed, to rise dealing with strife. Still praising God for another day of life. Fatigued, breathless, achy, and depressed. Still moving on, knowing it's only a test. To doctors and hospitals from Virginia to Seattle, still keeping faith, I will win the battle. Methotrexate, prednisone, morphine, and even oxygen, just to name a few. This is how they treat us. They say it's all they can do. Our day-to-day struggle resemble the strength of a diamond or a sapphire. Still calling on our Creator, Lord knows we're getting tired. Knowing that this battle is not mine, and I've done all that I could, I will press on until this illness is understood. Watch over me, God, for you have it all under control. Protect me and guide me as you prepare for my soul.
Amen. That was beautiful. Thank you, LaVarn, for sharing your story and your poem. I appreciate that. I want to ask one quick question to the group, and I want to ask you, all of you, what feelings do you believe a hurt person carries with them throughout life who've experienced mental bondage? What feelings do any of us carry?
Anger.
Depression.
Depression?
I hold grudges.
Grudges?
I think rejection.
Rejection?
Rejection.
Okay. Sadness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discouraged.
Discouraged?
Discouragement, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel beat down.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just feel like you can't come up above that water. That's what mental bondage feels like. That's what we want to get across. But I thank God for our stories, because I'm hoping that our stories will inspire you. Thank you so much for watching. It's life-changing. It's now time for me to speak into your life. During this segment, we need to talk about what mental bondage feels like. Okay, there's something that we talked about last week, mental bondage and what it looks like, but today is about what it feels like. We've been talking about feelings, and it does not feel good. I want to say that 50 Shades of Grey says that freedom, this bondage is like some type of freedom in some weird, interesting way. But every time I looked up bondage, it was restrictive. It was something that held you down and bound. It was associated with repression and oppression, burden, strain, and stress everywhere that I looked. Like bondage, mental bondage causes you to feel stuck. And in fact, you are. I want you to understand that when you're stuck, how can you move forward? Sometimes you don't know if you're moving forward, backward, or if you're just standing still. When you think about your life, when you're stuck, how can you truly enjoy life? I want you to ask yourself, am I really happy? Or are you just coasting? When you feel stuck, how can you focus on your purpose? Do you even know what your purpose is? Have you made it a priority? Or is it still on your to-do list? When you feel stuck, I need you to understand that you have to answer that call to greatness. Your phone is ringing. I need you to answer. Answer your call to greatness. You may feel stuck, but baby, you don't have to be. Today is about breaking free. Through the pain, through the emotions, whatever those feelings are that are holding you back, all of us up here on the verge of tears. You don't have to feel stuck. Look at your neighbor and say, it's not what it feels like. Ladies, look at your neighbor and say, it's not what it feels like. I want you to say out loud, it's not what it feels like. I want you to know that there are skills, there are tools, there's help, and there is healing to help you through the things that you're going through. I want you to know that peace, it does not mean to be without any noise, trouble, or hard work. It means to be going through those things, in the midst of things, but still being calm in your heart. May God bless you, and happy holidays.